Hi, and welcome to Blue's Garden. It really is time to put this thing to bed. My average first frost in the fall for here on the Cape is, let's see, October 22nd. And we've already had some nights dip into the low 30s. Even though for the next 10 days, it's looking like it won't dip below 40. We've still had some nights that we've already had a light frost, very light frost, but we've had a frost. Predicting for this week some of the outlying winds from Hurricane Melissa, so that's going to do some damage, probably knock some branches down and whatnot. So it really is time to put the garden to bed. So I'm going to spend some time cleaning up what's in there. I'm going to thin some carrot. I'm going to pick some of the mushroom. I've used the eggplant to make some caponata, and the mushroom and some of the onion and some of the garlic. Make a nice caponata. I used the beets and beet greens. I didn't. My wife did. Made a roasted beets salad with some walnuts and some spinach and beet green and feta. So used a few things from the garden this past week for some food. Show you a couple of pictures of those, as well as cleanup. Got to get rid of the hoses outside. I don't want any of them freezing, so most of the hoses are going in. The watering system's going in. Turn the timers off, bring that inside. Let's take a look at this week. First up is harvesting my first ever homegrown mushrooms from North Spore. These are wine cap mushroom. As I said, North Spore wine cap mushrooms. It's time to really get the last of the plants that have zero chance of any fruit more developing. Get them pulled out, cut them up. Anything that's not diseased can get cut up and tossed on the compost heap. Anything that does look a little sketchy or diseased will get tossed. Take a look. These are the last of my peppers. The evenings are too cold, the days are too cool. I'm just not going to get any more good fruit out. So they're not anything diseased. I'm going to just cut them up and put them in the compost bin. Now, the best bet going in the compost bin is the smallest bits that you can do. It gives it a head start. So the smaller bits I can cut them up into, the better it will be for making great organic little bits of compost. There's a couple of little bits of weed in there that I'm going to separate out, but for the most part, peppers are all going in. I will cut all the bits up. Those are bits of weed that I'm throwing aside, and then just cut everything into as small pieces as I can without going overboard. It'll all get broken down eventually, and I don't have to deal with this until the fall. This is the stuff that will be next fall's compost. Just to the right is the stuff that I will be using for the spring compost. That's been breaking down for a good year. Pretty close to a year anyway. At this point, 3/4, and then by spring it'll be a full year. So again, chop it up into lots of little bits, break it all down, and then into the compost bin. Now, as you can see, looks like there's an awful lot of leaves in there, which is true. What I did is all the greens from growing all season long has gone in there. All the dead tomato plants are in there. And as well, I did a couple of cuttings on my grass. I don't use anything on my grass. So I took a bunch of leaves, and then every once in a while, I'm going to go in and hit it maybe once a week for the first couple of weeks until winter, and then do it a couple times over winter. And just turn it over with the fork, as you see. So, again, this is not the peppers. This is now slicer, brandywine, bigger, larger tomato. Same thing, if it's not diseased, chop it up into small bits and into the compost bin. And like I said, everything goes in. And same place, same bin. You can see on the right side is the finished compost. On the left side is the stuff, the tomatoes. Again, lots of leaves in there, lots of greens, browns. The fresh greens are the fresh plants. The browns are the leaves and some shredded cardboard. Greens and browns, greens and browns. Excellent plan for a good compost. Eventually, everything will grow, break down into compost, but by picking the right amount, you get a good recipe. So what's left? Well, I have a whole lot of outdoor pots that are lettuces that are doing well, some herbs outside that are still doing well. The lettuces I've already harvested some for the salads. I'm also going to be starting some from seed indoors, and I'll be bringing some of those herbs indoors as well. Let's take a look. These are some Buttercrisp green lettuce. This is some small red romaine leaf lettuce. Some parsley and oregano. This is the Buttercrisp that ended up getting used for book club night, and some different alpine strawberries that I have to deal with potting them up. This oregano is going to get cut up and dried. Quick little pan of the raspberries, which are on their last leg. I will let them die off and then trim them back early winter. Last of the cherry tomatoes. It's about the only thing left growing. I'm not sure I'll get anything out of them, but that is the last of the cherry tomatoes. And then here is a surprise little bit of harvest. The wine cap and some tomatoes and a couple of peppers and the raspberries. I also did a little something for book club night from my wife's book club. Cut some of our hydrangea and made that into a centerpiece. And here are the appetizers that I made or she made with stuff from the garden. As I mentioned at book club, I did cut some of my hydrangea down and made a nice little centerpiece from my wife's book club. Those are some little baby squash and pumpkins. Also, I grew from the garden. That's on the table for book club. In addition, I harvested the beets, which was awesome. She used the beets as roasted beets. That's the roasted beets. Beet greens were in the beet green, walnuts, and feta salad. There were a couple of eggplant. I also have some onion that's not pictured, and that was in some caponata that I made, caponata. As I mentioned earlier, frost date, first average frost date is October 22nd. I'm recording this the very end of October. So we're due. We've had some cool nights where a very light frost already happened. With our first frost due any day now, I wanted to deal with the last of the things that I really that I need to be concerned with, mainly the hoses. That's just wrapping up the watering system for the year. I will say I did spend a lot of time and energy and some money on putting in drip lines, and I found out how much the local squirrels here love chewing on all the little black rubber hoses. So that eventually went into the recycle bin. It was a failed experiment, did not work. They got chewed, all those little emitters and all of that time that I spent. So wrapping up all the hoses for the season. This truly is a pain in the ass. I have a really long hose that I ran because both my hose, outside hose attachments, the faucets, were broken, so I had to run it from the entire front of the house all the way around the house. So that finally got repaired. This is me taking care of the hoses for the backyard. As I mentioned, the watering system died an ugly death, and so I ended up having to take the sprinkler back out and use that to water my garden. Putting that to bed. Eve Aqua water system. As part of my smart home, I have this Eve Aqua system. I can water the garden from anywhere, set up timed watering, and I also can use it from my iPad or my iPhone. I can set up scenes and run it remotely from anywhere that I have Wi-Fi as part of my smart home. So, as part of putting the watering system to bed, pull the batteries out for the winter. Kind of important. I don't want the batteries to rot and spoil this. Thank you very much for watching. This is, in some ways, the sad part of the year where you're putting your garden to bed. But for me, it's also, it's a relief for the stuff I do outside. And it's a chance to really concentrate on what I want to change for next year. And because I grow indoors, it's also a beginning for me. I am now starting seeds for my lettuce, spinach, and arugula and some herbs that I'll grow all winter long indoors. Again, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. That helps me grow, and that helps you grow. Thank you very much.